I apologize in advance. Yes, that is my washer running all the time whenever I make a video. And yes, I have all my random washer items because we got our washer fixed. Yes, this is such a random introductions on my new reading log. So we're gonna start with Tokyo Aliens Volume 9. This just came out, I believe, last month. It's very anticipated because this series only comes out every 6 months or twice a year. And in the last volume, Akira was kidnapped, and now his friends and co-workers from the AMO are going frantically to find him. Surprisingly, show is very weird because most of the time I feel like show doesn't like show doesn't show any emotion, but this time he's very worried for Akira because there's rumors about a black market auction that Earth people are getting sold to aliens, which is basically true. And yes, that's what happened to Akira. He got kidnapped, but I'm not sure because of the black market. It could be. However, we are slowly finding the truth about Akira because one of the characters in the series has this special power to go in his mind or maybe about his past. And once he intervened, he met a mother, or it could be Akira's mother, and it looks like it was Akira in his memory, but this Akira showed like, oh, not showed, but he was saying like, oh, I don't know the exact words, but basically like, don't get, I mean, that's not the right word. I'm trying to remember. He basically say like, oh, don't try to intervene, or don't even try, because it looks like Akira's memories either it is hidden or got wiped away. But it's getting super interesting about Akira, and again, show's size is slowly we get to know more about him, because I feel like show, again, he doesn't show a lot of emotion, but this time he is. We get to see more of two other characters that was mentioned a few back, named Mimi and Yuen. Okay, Yuen is an alien, Mimi is a earthling, and they've been helping the AMO to get information, especially about the black market, and they're also helping, trying to find Akira at the same time. And so yeah, there was a cliffhanger. Of course, there's always a cliffhanger when it comes to Tokyo Aliens, which is like a downside because we have to wait like every 6 months for the next volume, which really the sucky part. But you know what? It is what it is. So the next volume doesn't come out until April, and then usually the second one doesn't come out in October. So like, again, almost every 6 months. Really like Tokyo Aliens. It's just full of fun and mystery. It's kind of different because you got Earth and alien, residing together, and then some of the aliens are here trying to start a new life. But however, you got some alien who has like evil intention, like working at the black market, or but anyway, definitely recommend reading Tokyo Aliens. Again, the only downside is the release are very slow, but I totally understand because I feel like the story is not being rushed. And yeah, I really can't wait. I hope one day that it will get animated because that would be so cool. Alright guys, just finished reading Gachiakuta Volume 7 and 8. This is by Kei Urana. Graffiti design by Hideyoshi Ando. Also, I know I read a few volumes a while back, but I prefer to know first from the manga, then watch the anime, and that's why I decided to grab two of this volume. I'm not sure if there's a volume 9 out yet, but anywho, in the last volume, Rudo and some of his crewmates were transported to another area. It's more like a cave or underground at first, but we find out later that they're actually inside a trash beast because the raiders has a plan, especially from the leader. He wants to go to the spear, and before that he decided to grab Amo's boots because these thing called Watch Seers apparently has special power, and he needs them, I guess, to make sure the trash bees have enough, I guess, energy to fly to the sphere. And yeah, everybody's in shock that they're inside the trash beast because the cleaner's job is to clean out trash beasts, and so our leader Engine from the cleaners, of course, wants to get out of there. But then Rudo, I feel like he might want to stay there because that is his goal, is to go back to the sphere and get some revenge. And so Rudo and the leader of the raiders were chit-chatting while the rest of the cleaners are going against some of the raiders. But at first, things weren't really doing well for them. But now, when it comes to the cleaners, they don't want to give up. And so, yeah, this story is just full of action-packed, pretty interesting story about being underground. And then you got the sphere. Now, the sphere is where Rudo is originally from. It's like a floating rock. That's all I can say. Because the sphere is like above in the sky, while underground is just the regular ground, if that makes sense. However, time to time, the ground gets this thing called rainy trash because of the sphere, because the sphere doesn't even know that there's actually people under the ground or wherever they throw their trash. And so, yeah, that's a really nice twist about this story, because, like, what the heck? You got people from above the sky, and then you got people from under the ground, if that makes sense. But yeah, there is an anime. If you don't want to read the manga, I really like the anime. They did an amazing job with the animation and everything else. But yeah, Gachakuta, really like it. I don't know if there was a cliffhanger, but it didn't feel like a big cliffhanger. But all I know is that Engine wants to leave out of there. But when it comes to Rudo, there's a chance that I feel like he might just stay there and see where this trash base, whether if this trash base will make it to the sphere. I decided to check my shelf to see what manga that I haven't read for a while, and this is one of them. This one's called My Isekai Life. I gained a second character class and became the strongest sage in the world. So this is an isekai. In the last volume, he was trying to pass an exam to become an adventurer, which he did. However, among everybody, he is the strongest. He has some unknown skills, but time to time, he's able to control it and able to use it, especially with Monster. So yeah, it's a really nice story. He's just a very calm character, and it seems like every time he visits a town, something happens. But the first town that he was on, suddenly monsters started to appear because of these stones. And then on the second town, a big massive dragon. And then before that, he was on a quest to find an earth dragon. Was it the earth dragon? Yes. However, he also defeated that. But then there was another dragon. It was really huge, and however, he was able to defeat it. But then the people didn't know that he defeated. So when it comes to our main character, he's very powerful, but it's still a big mysterious about his power. And then on the third town, it was more in the mountain. Suddenly it starts to snow because it's a big mystery why the weather suddenly really dropped. And so he was able to help them by chopping wood and making sure it is dry. And at the same time, he noticed that all the houses or places didn't have ventilation. And so, of course, that's going to cause carbon monoxide. So he was able to create this stone to detect when, the air is too strong, carbon monoxide. So, yeah, he's a very, very helpful, kind character. And then with the help of his slimes, his slimes really is a big help. And it seems like he can use his slime to enable or enhance his power. But yeah, I really like this story. I mean, a lot of isekai can be a hit or miss. And especially with this long title, you can tell it's an isekai. But yeah, so far I really like it so far. I'm not sure if this one has an anime, and I'm not sure how many volumes are out there. But it's just a big fantasy, your typical isekai. However, again, every time he hits a new town, something always happens. But of course, he always saves the day because he is that powerful, very skillful adventurer. But down the line, I think he's learning slowly about his power because one of the character mention, oh wow, you can use that power because I've heard from this and this. But yeah, his power is a big mysterious. I think hopefully we'll find out why he has this power. I think it's because he actually was summoned to this world. Like he suddenly appeared in this world, and apparently that there was a bunch of people did some summoning ritual, and who knows, this is probably him. But yeah, I really like the story so far, and yeah, I'm gonna have to find out how many volumes are out there. But yeah, I do recommend this if you like isekai. I know there's a lot of isekai manga and even animes, but this one's pretty cool. It's not too bad because I've watched a few isekai anime, and again, it can be a hit or miss because sometimes isekai has fan service. This one doesn't have fan service, which I really like so far. So yeah, definitely recommend my isekai life. So this manga is called Timon's B-Side. Story and art by Yuki Shiwasu. I just got this yesterday. I was on my Barnes Noble. Having a bookstore near me has been like a blessing. I want to go there almost every day. So yeah, I got this two new volumes because I already read up to volume 7. Now in the last volume, Rintaro decided to quit Face, the name of the group. However, they found out about the truth why he wanted to quit, and it's also regards to his younger sister. Now the younger sister was against, or was just probably like not happy of him leaving the house and becoming a pop idol. But eventually they found, the truth about why he wanted to leave, and that it was because his father wasn't doing well, and the reason was because the sister ran away from home. But eventually they found a way to bring the sister home back. And when it comes to Rintaro's sister, sorry about the noise, she was really against of him becoming an idol, I guess because the family is very close knit. But eventually once Rintaro left to become an idol, I think everything started to kind of like not do well, or the family started to what is the word I'm looking for? Started to drift apart. But eventually, once Rintaro came home, and things started to get better, however, until, the sister causing some trouble. But again, they figure out how to bring the sister back. It is because of our main character. Oh my god, I'm already forgetting the main character's name. Otagi. Otagi is our main girl, and then Tamon is our main boy. Now she works for a house cleaning services, and then when she found out that one of her clients is actually her biggest idol named Tamon. But eventually these two started becoming friends, and when it comes to Tamon, he goes through a lot of emotions, which I mentioned before. But other than that, Otagi has been very getting close to the other idols from the band, and we eventually find out more about the band's history and what they're like. But yeah, that was like pretty much what volume 8 is all about, trying to find about Rintaro and what made him quit. But then everything was fixed after the sister coming back home, and Rintaro decided to continue becoming a pop idol. Now in volume 9, we get to learn more about Tamon's past and his big brother, because the big brother decided to visit Tamon, and then we found out how or what made Tamon become an idol. Is because his big brother used to dance a lot back in his college, but when it was time to graduate and think about the future, he decided to put it on the side and just choose a career. And this made Tamon and realize that he wants to become a pop idol for his brother's, footsteps, because the brother decided not to pursue dancing, and so it feels like Tamon wanted to do it for him. So the big brother and Tamon are very close knit as well. And then Tamon went through like something happened in his school one day, and he decided not to go back to school. And then the big brother decided to take him to Tokyo because he was in college. But yeah, it's a really good story. I like Tamon B-Side, except it can be like an emotional roller coaster. There are some trigger warning because Tamon has like I think he has sometimes like a social anxiety, or he faced a lot of depression. But with the help of Kinoshita, which is Otagi Kinoshita, She's been really like an inspiration to Timon. Like he's more open and he's not scared of a lot of things. And so yeah, I really enjoy this series. And oh my god, guys, there's gonna be an anime. I knew there was an anime coming out, but I didn't know that it's actually coming in January. I'm so excited to see this series animated because I love this series. And so if you don't want to read the manga, definitely check out the anime once it comes out in January. So yeah, this is Tamon's B-sides. I think volume 9 is a new current volume. I'm not sure if volume 10 is coming out soon, but yeah, can't wait to read more of Timon B-side. As you can see, I did binge read Moriarty up to volume 16 because I don't have 17 and 18. However, I have volume 19, which I'm kind of like sad I don't have those two volumes because it's just getting so good. So I read volume 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Now, in the last volume, it didn't leave any like a cliffhanger. It did start like a new, story. So I would say, oh my god, I forgot now. 9, maybe like the next two volumes, 9 and 10, is just focus on political stuff where some character wanted to run, or he wanted to pass a law that will help society to have an equal system, because in this story, the higher class always rule of everything. Of course, there's also discrimination towards the lower class, and that is why Moriarty, the family, and their friends, their main goal is to get rid of those nobles who commit crimes behind the scene without any justice. And so yeah, the first two, 9 and 10, just focus about this dude who wants to pass a bill, but then something happened to him where William decided to help him. And then from 11 to 15, that focused mostly on him being the Lord of Crime. Basically, what happened was there was this character named Milverstone. He's a big blackmailer, and then he's been blackmailing among the characters in the store, but one particularly stand out where Watson was about to get married over this girl, but then this girl got blackmailed by the Milverstone, and so they had to find a way to get rid of her. I guess like he had something over Watson's fiance, and so Sherlock decided to help Watson, but at first he didn't want to, but then he realized, his friend needs help. But so they went on this to find this paper to get rid of it, but then something happened. Watson and Sherlock went to his place, Milverstone, not this guy. And when they were there, something was already happening, and then Sherlock decided to go by himself while Watson decided to grab the police because they heard a gunshot. And then when when Sherlock entered Milverstone's home, let's just say William was also there. And so now it seems like William's identity, being the Lord of Crime, has been revealed in front of Sherlock, but I feel like Sherlock already knew that. But yeah, something happened to Milverstone which caused Sherlock to get arrested, and then after this, William decided to act as the Lord of Crime because Milverstone knew the identity of the Lord of Crime, and he had another plan. If something happened to him, he was going to release the press that he is the Lord of Crime, which it did happen, which caused chaos. A lot of people were so disappointed, and now William is wanted. However, William has always had plans on his hand, and so he did, but sadly he had no choice but to commit everything by himself, or admit that he did everything by himself. He didn't want his family and friends to get involved, which is the sad part, because they didn't want him to get all that burden. But however, all that chaos, and he kept doing what he needed to do, and of course Sherlock was the only one who can save him, which he did. I don't want to say too much spoiler. If you watch the anime, you probably know what happened between William and Sherlock, because there's like a 3 year gap where, you know, they went off somewhere because something happened between those two, and then suddenly they appeared in front of friends and family. And then the last volume, like, it seems like the Moriarty and Sherlock are now becoming friends. And then speaking of, like, you know, besides William, his 2 brothers, well, the elder brother decided to step down from being a lord and decided to go back home and tell if William was alive or not. And then the rest of the crew of William's side decided to join the MI6 to kind of atone their sins in order to just repay what they did, instead of, like, I guess, coming out there to, you know, tell them that, oh, we were with William. But of course William doesn't want that, and so they decided to make a deal with Rycroft, which is Sherlock's older brother, because he works for the government, blah blah blah, and he knows everything of what William's intention was, because he's like almost like Sherlock. He can, like, you know, figure things out like Sherlock. Anyway, that was probably confusing, but I'm trying not to say too much. But other than that, I just love this mystery Moriarty the Patriot. I mean, it started very brutal because the Moriarty wanted to, like, you know, go after all these nobles who were taking advantage of the lower class. And eventually, when Shark was in the picture, things changed. And oh my God, speaking of that, like, William and Sherlock just have something very special together. And I mean, there's a lot of people who ship them together, but, like, oh my God, even though this is not a BL, it just feels like there's a scene in the volume that feels like a BL moment. But you know what? It's so beautiful. I love it. But yeah, again, I'm trying not to spoil anything. But other than that, watch the anime as always if you don't want to read the manga. But I love this series so much. Unfortunately, this series already ended in Japan. I'm not sure if there's actually about 20 or 21 volumes altogether. I do have volume 19, but volume 20 does not come out until next year. So I think I could just wait, or I could just, you know, buy the other 2 volumes that I'm missing and just keep reading. But you know what? I might as well just keep reading. But anyway, guys, really like Murder Patriot. If you're into mystery, it can be gory, but I think it's just, I mean, whatever the Murder did, of course, was very unlawful. And, you know, whatever they're doing, think it's the right thing, but not really, because it's always not the right answer, if that makes sense. But yeah, at the very end, things change, and you know what? I feel like hopefully it's gonna be a good ending. But yeah, definitely recommend Moriarty the Patriot. Alright, I've gathered all the manga that I read for the past 2 weeks. I know it doesn't seem quite much, but I really do my best to find reading manga, because sometimes I do get distracted easily, like using my phone and, like, doing some doom scrolling. But I'm trying to do my best to read more, because I know I have a lot of TBR in my collection. But yeah, so this time around I read some newest volumes. I did some catch up and also did some binge reading, like Moriarty the Patriot. I really like Moriarty the Patriot. I also started watching half of the anime because I stopped midway, and oh my God, I'm gonna be sad that it's gonna end soon. I think it might end at volume 20 or 21, and I'm trying not to say too much. Let's just say, you know, the Moriarty family, they've gone through so much, and it is decided that they're gonna choose a different path just to amend whatever they've done in the past. That's all I can say. We also have Timon B-Side, such a fun to read, and we get to learn more about other characters, and this series is gonna have an anime in January. Then we also have My Isekai Life, which I know I haven't read for a while, but I really like this isekai story. I'm not sure if there's an anime, because I know my husband will enjoy this series because he loves watching isekai. Definitely a good isekai story. Next, we have Gachiakuta. I think this is like the newest 2 volume, because I didn't see volume 9. I always love reading Gachiakuta. It's just full of action and fun. Love the character design, and the story is just sometimes very unpredictable. And lastly, we have Tokyo Aliens, which we always have to wait for a while because this series only comes out twice a year since The next one will be not until April. And hopefully one day we'll get an anime because it's such an underrated series, even though the release is very slow. But other than that, it's such a good read for the last 2 weeks. And I really do my best to read as much as I can. And I always enjoy reading most of the manga I read. Lately I haven't dropped any manga, which is really good so far. But I know there are just a lot of other series that I haven't read for so long, and sometimes I don't want to think about it because I really don't want to overwhelm myself. I just gotta stick to my pace and read whenever I can, honestly. And let me know what you guys think about this reading log. Have you read any of them? But yeah, thank you for watching this reading log, and I'll see you guys next time.